I didn't know about the novel, so for me, yeah, it was definitely a little bit more influenced by, what we see in the media so much. And then, from that point, I found like it was just such a unique deep dive into the sort of psychology of someone who is left behind after something so tragic, like losing a sister or sibling happens, and sort of this, downward spiral that this character goes through and trying to uncover what's going on and what happened, but also, what that means for her and who she really is. So, yeah.
I like to call the show a psychological thriller that sort of is a meditation on not just um, the missing white girl trope, but also on race, class, trauma, and forgiveness and letting go. Really,
we shot this in July of last year, I think. Oh, wow. Was it? Yeah, July, August, September last year. And it took, well, I started a little bit later. For me, it was about 3 months, on and off. But I think for Josh, it may have even been a little bit longer. But we did, a big, fierce chunk in New York. We did all our locations and kind of went crazy there for a chunk. And then, we moved the present day timeline down to the Dominican Republic for then a couple of months. So yeah, it was cool. It definitely wasn't easy. I think, I had drawn on my own research, obviously, of just families who had gone through this sort of experience. But then I also had, unfortunately, there is a lot of this sort of media fetishization of like white girl gone missing and, this sort of attention that these stories get. So I was sort of, I think we're all familiar with them in some respect. But beyond that, I mean, I really just tried to focus on the themes, especially if, like what that kind of grief looks like, but also, for me, it was the story of a fractured person. It was this experience that a young girl went through that changed her life, and then how that manifested in her adult life and the kind of person she sort of needed to become to sort of uphold her sister's memory and image, and within a family dynamic, and how her parents then treated her. In many ways, I found that Emily was becoming a version of her sister to try and keep that memory close and to not let go of her, but in doing so lost such a version of her own self that she wasn't really sure who that person was. And I think it was drawing on what it feels like to fill a vacuum or attempt to try and fill a void, and then really just trying to come to terms with oneself and the those bigger themes of loss and betrayal and grief that people go through in many different forms.
I think that the main thing is that and sometimes in our rush to try to get to the bottom of a situation or to understand a situation, we don't see things the way that they are. There's a kind of funhouse mirror effect that tends to happen when we place blame or we rush to judgment. And I think the show really asks you to take a second and pause before reacting. And I think that's the main takeaway for me.
Let me be clear. We have determined the death of Alison Thomas was an accident.
Why should you watch the show? Because if you're not going to, what happens is nothing how you expect.
I need to keep doing this.